Hey, good morning, everybody. This is take two of the video. The first one, the quality was pretty poopy, so I'm trying a higher video setting on this phone. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update, a walk around, show off the good, the bad, and the ugly. The hammer coral's doing great. I believe that this coral here in the middle is a Armor of God Zoa. Of course, my GSP is doing excellent. Corals around here are doing good. I gotta keep an eye on the. I'm not sure if that's a forest fire or a bubble gum, but on both sides, I've got it's either forest fire or bubble gum that I gotta keep an eye on and make sure that they're not doing coral war with the voodoo magic. Zoa Gardens. Now I've got, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but I got a couple Aiptasia that are in the display tank. And a few months ago I put Bergia nudibranchs in the tank, and they cleaned out the display tank area, but they did nothing in the overflow. So if y'all have any ideas on what I can do to clean out the Aiptasia out of the overflow box without tearing it all apart, I would appreciate that. Oh, there goes McKenna. Hey, McKenna. So, the corals are doing all right. The Hollywood Stunner here in the middle of the frame. I goofed up and I thought it had enough flow, but I'm thinking the reason why it's dying off is because of a lack of flow. So I fragged it, and I've got frags on plugs on the back and on the front of the tank, and I've noticed that they're throwing out tentacles. So in my mind, that's a good sign, a healthy sign. I'll probably hold on to a couple of these frags and then sell off the rest. These guys have their tentacles all out and feeding. My Duncans are starting to wake up this morning. This is a kind of in the center of the frame to the right of the Bam Bams. That is a Fruity Pebbles colony, and it's starting to table out. I am dosing Red Sea AB Plus, Coral Amino, and Reefroids. If y'all have any suggestions on what I might add to what I'm dosing to help these corals color up. I mean, they are growing, they're just not coloring up the way I would like them to. Just let me know in the comments if there's something that you think I should be adding to it, and I will research it and give it a shot. I don't know if that's I think it's a Stylopora, purple Stylopora. It's waking up this morning. And I got a couple of little colonies here and there. There's a colony here that I'm probably gonna, because it's really getting shaded out, I'm probably gonna pop it off the rock and relocate it. I got some little zoas over here. I got zoas here and there and everywhere. The fish seem to be doing pretty well. This colony of clementines is just taking off. It's right below the candy canes there, and I got a Space Invader colony over here. My Pinky the Bear. I love the polyp extension on this one. I could watch that all day long. Got some rainbow anemones on the rock off in the corner. Try to keep it isolated so they don't spread out throughout the tank and get sucked into one of the gyres or make a mess of things. That particular coral, it's over a foot across. It is 3 years old and has really just started encrusting everything. But I fragged a little bit off out of this area here, so that these zoas aren't so shaded out. They were really receding, not too happy. So I fragged it back a little bit, and I got some of it on that back wall. I got some of it on a frag disc over here. But I just love looking at that hammer coral. And then there's my 50-gallon. I've got GSP on that back wall. What I want to see if I can do is if I can get the colony grown on that back wall, if I can peel it off without injuring the coral too badly, frag it and sell it that way. We'll see. We got some of that. I believe it's called Mr. Lucky. I probably need to increase the PAR in this tank. I haven't taken a reading. I couldn't tell you what the PAR is. I know the LEDs are set really low, so maybe need to increase the PAR a little bit in this tank. And I've got a dose hooked up, but I'm only dosing like 1 milliliter of alkalinity and 1 milliliter of calcium. So I probably need to bump that up some. Over here are my dosing reservoirs. I got my ATO top off, alkalinity, calcium, magnesium. I had an extra dose pump, so I am actually dosing max spec Bacter 7, I think it is. But I'm dosing 60 milliliters in the morning at feeding time, so I've got the skimmer and the UV light turned off while I'm feeding, so that's when it's adding the bacteria. I have had some problems with bacterial. I'm not sure if it's bacterial or if it's just wonky algae. It's photosynthetic, whatever it is. But I've found if I turn the lights off for a day or two, it goes away. But then if I go back to my regular lighting routine, it comes back. So I'm hoping that this adding the max spec bacteria in a bottle, I'm hoping that will help fight it off, replace the bad bacteria with good bacteria. But I don't know if it's coming through on the video, but the fan on this tank and the fan on the 50-gallon, they're set on temp switches. So if the water temperature gets above 79.9 degrees, the fans will kick on. And it's just to move the air above the water to help with the evaporative cooling. Here in Northeast Texas, we've been hovering just around 100 degrees the last few days. And it's expected to get warmer throughout the remainder of summer. So that helps, and I'm experimenting with floor fans to keep the air moving throughout the house. This particular room is the last room on the heating and air conditioning circuit, so it gets the least amount of heat and the least amount of cooling. So I got fans blowing into the room and out of the room to keep the air circulating. But usually this room's about 10 to 15 degrees warmer than the rest of the house. I don't really want to get another AC unit to put in the window, wherever I can find a window. But if that's what I got to do to keep things alive, I'll definitely take it into consideration. And running a chiller on the tanks, that's a possibility as well. But these are the tanks. The latest update on the 50 gallon is I added a UV sterilizer. So it's pumping from there, dropping down to the UV sterilizer, and then back into the tank. And that's to cut down on the algae and the bacteria in this tank. I'm about due to replace the carbon and GFO in the 50 gallon, and I've got a little mini reactors on the 240 gallon tank. I don't know if you can see them down there, but they are about plugged up, barely flowing. So, but with the exception of the Hollywood Stunners, I mean, the tank's doing pretty well. It's holding its own. Corals are growing, not necessarily colored up the way I'd like them to be, but again, if anybody's got any suggestions on what I can do as far as what I'm dosing to the tank nutrient wise, I'm pretty confident that if I drop the par down 25-50 par, I got a feeling that'll also have an effect on it. So next week or two I'll play around with the par, lower it a little bit, and see what changes that I can get out of it, what kind of effect it has on the corals. All right, well that about does it. Y'all have a blessed day, and hit that like and subscribe. Take it easy.